Hello, I'm Daniel Weiss, your host, and you are listening to my podcast. If you are new to this podcast, my aim is to give you the insights so you learn how to master your mind and optimize your health for the peak performance that is sustainable.
Okay, so let's start. Thank you, Michal, once again for joining me today
You are welcome, Dan.
in this podcast. And you are actually a sports psychologist, and you are working with professional sportsmen. And as I had opportunity to read and basically follow you on social media, I've been following you for some time. So it's that's why I also invited you into this podcast because I believe that you have a lot of to share with people, also with my audience.
Sure.
And yeah, so can you tell me a little bit more about you, about your work, and what it is actually?
Of course, no problem, Dan. So thanks very much again for the invitation. So it's a pleasure to participate in this podcast. Yeah, so my name is Michal Kopčan, and as you have said, I've been working. I define myself not as a sports psychologist. I define myself as a mental coach. So I've been working as a mental coach for about 4 years. So it's not actually a long time. And yeah, I've studied psychology and education of adults. That's my background, and my background in the field of sport is that I was playing football, and I was playing football for the junior league here in the first junior league in Trenčín, and then I was in a sort of preparation for the A team, and I got injured, and that was one of the things that brought me to psychology. That I was struggling myself, and I wanted to find the ways out of that, and I wanted to feel happy. I wanted to be again satisfied, and I was searching. I was looking for the outside strategies and techniques, and to help me to cope with life much better. And as I have said, so that was one of the things that brought me to psychology.
So, what was it actually that you struggled with?
Yeah, so I struggled when I finished my career pretty young. I was just 22 years old. And I had a dream that I could become a professional footballer, and I had all those abilities to do so. And I got injured, and it stopped me for more than for 1 year. And then afterwards, I was not able to go back to the professional career, and I struggled with a sort of anxieties because suddenly my dream just fall down, and yeah, basically said, so I struggled with anxiety and sort of mild depression. I was not treated officially, but I was not really living my life fully, I have to say. And as I have said, that was the reason why I have decided to study also psychology and to, first of all, help myself. And after some time, I saw that it could be also beneficial for other people. So I started studying sort of personal development, and then I also studied sports psychology directly, or mental coaching, let's say. And I've been here for more than 10 years in the personal development area. And for the last 3 years, I've been, let's say, practicing a sort of understanding that is quite unique in Slovakia, because except myself, nobody is using that. So maybe we can talk about it much more in this podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Like you mentioned, like in Slovakia is very new field to people, and people don't understand it, I think, completely.
Yeah, it is.
Which is also an advantage for you. Because as I had the opportunity to see, I think you work with like some sports teams in Slovakia, right? Which is like both football and hockey teams, right?
Right. Yes. So within my clients, there are some teams such as, for example, football team Slovan Bratislava, which is actually the most successful team within the history of Slovak League. Then I've been working also with the teams of hockey teams, like, for example, Dukla Trenčín or Liptovský Mikuláš. So there are plenty of other individual clients, because the majority of my work is with the individual clients. So I have to say that the majority of my clients are professional athletes. I would say 90%. And then I've been also working with the youth a little bit, and except sport, I've been also working with people in business and also in life. so within the life coaching.
Yeah, I really love this because you know, as I see it, it's like these areas overlap, and when you have like this mental coaching for sports, I mean, this really can be translated into business, like you mentioned, and
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
anything.
There are a lot of similarities, and except I've been using different languages. So when I'm with athletes, I've been using different language when I'm sitting with the businessmen. But actually, the understanding that I'm providing the clients is the same.
Yeah, and this is interesting to me. Like, for example, these business guys, because you are marketing yourself or showing your services as a mental coach for sports people. Like, how do these people outside of the sports reach you? Like, do
I
they
see.
find it
Yeah.
interesting or?
Yeah. So it was by coincidence. Originally, when I started working as a coach, my area was 100% sport. And I thought at the beginning that I'm going to be focusing only on sports, nothing else. But then I found that it's possible to use this understanding I've been using with athletes, also with the other people. And it was by coincidence that I met one of the friends, and he's a company, a small company, and they were looking for sort of presentations. And he reached to me by coincidence, and I was providing the presentation, and the people were very satisfied. And I said, okay, so maybe we can open the doors also in business coaching. So that started like this. To be honest, I'm not promoting that too much now because I've been quite occupied with the work in sport. But sooner or later, I think that this area will be enlarging. So I've been occasionally providing lectures or sort of speeches or even motivational speeches for different companies. And also within this year, I provided speeches to various companies and quite well known in Slovakia and big ones.
And what do you enjoy more, like doing or providing a speech, or working with people like one-to-one, or working with teams? No, these are very specific, you know, like different areas. And
yeah, exactly. So basically said, or generally said, I like my work. It doesn't matter if it is going to be for the groups, it's going to be on an individual level. So I like enjoying, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing. So doesn't matter if it is individual coaching or speeches for the groups. What I could say that in terms of the changes, of course, the biggest changes occur when you are working with the person individually. So
yeah, right.
But sometimes, you know, even in sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, sometimes within the group speeches, you know, there could be something that could be heard on a deeper level. So that could be also, from time to time, I'm also providing lectures for, let's say, within life coaching for, let's say, for ordinary people. And sometimes they hear something on a really deeper level. So that could change them as well. So that change their life. So it's not really a requirement to work with me on an individual level that you have to, you know, pay, I don't know, at least 10 sessions to hear something.
Right.
So it's really case to case. So when somebody is ready to hear something, they will hear it, even though it's within the group speech or even though it's within the individual coaching. So.
Yeah, it can definitely make the change in their life, right? And that's probably the most important thing. And what do you see as being the biggest or some of the main challenges that you deal with when it comes to coaching?
It's a good question. So in terms of sport, so I see that the athletes, majority of athletes are looking for the higher performance, for the increase of performance.
Right.
So and if the performance is not improving, let's say in a really within a short period of time, let's say after 2 coaching sessions, they think that there's something wrong, you know, and they are searching more and more.
Probably.
No, of course, yes. They think that, okay, it doesn't work for me. I need something else, maybe. And they are all the time searching, and by searching, they don't find the right answers, because the right answers are always within them. Okay, so they are searching for the right answers outside, using something outside, and all the time they have everything what they need, but they can't see that due to their personal thinking, you know, because we are thinking all the time. And when the person is struggling, I remember at the times when I was And I was searching for relief. I was searching for something that somebody could come and give me something I can use, and it will definitely change my life. You know? But it doesn't work that way. You know.
Yeah.
One of the coaches, my coaches said to me, Mike, you know, I've got still a coach, and is actually an American guy, and he told me, Mike, you know, nobody's coming. And I said to him, but you came, you know. But he said, I came because I told you nobody's coming, you know. Okay, so yeah, that's one of the challenges I face with the clients in the field of sport, that they're really searching for the improvement of the performance really within a short period of time. And sometimes it's not that easy, so sometimes it takes time, you know. As physical training, you also need to understand something. But as I've said before, you know, sometimes you could hear something on a deeper level that could change your life. It could be a question of one session. It has happened to me. Even within one session, the client heard something really deep, and even and I call it, my coaching is based on understanding, and it's based on insights. You know, that the insight could come, and suddenly a person sees something that he hasn't seen before. You know, and sometimes, you know, that client has got such a deep insight. It's much deeper than myself, and they are teaching me that. You know.
Yeah.
So it's really rewarding sometimes to be in a coaching with a client that has got such a deep insight.
Yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned, what I see or potentially to be a big challenge, especially with people like athletes, they are like motivated and let's say kind of A-type personalities.
Yep.
Which they are trying to push harder and do more and
of course
reach that peak performance. And they might have trouble looking inside, and this is like, I would say, on the opposite side of the energy spectrum, right? Which is like more relaxed and maybe more insightful. So this might take some time for them to develop and to reach into that part of themselves.
Exactly the point, and that's one of the challenges, that they are trying to everything to solve by willpower. You know, we need to try, because we are conditioned to do so since the childhood. Okay, to do everything via the willpower, but the willpower doesn't last. You know, from the longer perspective, when you are trying hard enough, so it's sometimes counterproductive. You know. I use the example that we are sitting in a car and we are deeply in the mud, and I'm putting more and more, you know, gas, and we are going deeper and deeper. Yeah. So that's what sometimes the athletes are they are trying to you know, overcome the obstacles by trying more hard, and that's the reason why sometimes they struggle emotionally, but they struggle also on the field, you know, in terms of performance, because if you are trying too hard, then you are not. You don't have the freedom to play well. It depends on the sport, of course.
Yeah.
So to perform well, generally speaking. And so that's one of the challenges, that they instead of the term I called still power, it's actually, this term is used by one of my mentors. It's called Garrett Kramer. His name is Garrett Kramer, and he wrote the book Still Power. And this completely the opposite of the willpower. Okay. So still power is something that we have all those sources and the power inside ourselves. But from time to time, we can't see that due to our personal thinking. And as soon as the personal thinking, you know, falls away, we see the light clearly. And we don't have to try that, like by using willpower to get somewhere, because it's to simply said that we are more involved in a flow of life. You know, right. For example, if there are no personal concepts, I am not the basic, or simply said, if I'm not thinking in a moment, you know, consciously, then I fall into life, and I'm able to, in terms of sport, I'm able to, or not only in terms of sport, but generally speaking, we are able to perform much better when we are in the flow of life, that instead of when we are fighting that by willpower, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's one of the main reasons I try to work with the athletes. I try to show them that it doesn't have to be that hard.
Right. So I really like that you brought up this concept of the willpower and flow, because really, like, when I think about it now, willpower, as I understand it, is also something that is a limited resource.
Exactly.
You can exercise it, and you can improve it, you can have more willpower, but in the end you will drain it.
Exactly. That's one of the questions I ask athletes at the beginning of our cooperation. So I'm asking them to imagine that if they are performing well, if they are, trying hard, or if they are thinking about something, consciously, or they just play, or they just, perform. And of course, 100% of the athletes just said, I just play, I just perform. I'm not thinking consciously about something. I'm not applying something. I'm not trying hard. So I'm playing freely or performing freely.
And so when we are talking also about performance, what could you give, or could you give any tips to people, to sportsmen, sportswomen out there, like how could they start thinking, maybe change their mindset so they can perform better?
So in the field of personal development, we always look like we have to change something. We have to change something because we have got the problem. So in startup psychology, we take a look at the client. Like, okay, he reaches out to me, and we assume that he's having a sort of problem. So that's the reason why he came to me. Our role, we think, or also in the past, I thought that my role as a coach is to fix him and to provide him something that he could use in order to be, play well again, or to thrive in life, to be more satisfied in life, that I could give him something external. And I was using that. I was using a lot of external strategies and tools, and because I was taught to do so. And as I have said at the beginning of this conversation, I came across a simple understanding, and this understanding is about how our mind works, how we are creating, reality from moment to moment. And this understanding has got a significant impact on my life, and it has got also significant impact on my clients. So we are looking for something that, okay, if I change this, then also my performance changes on a positive way. And in my practice, I'm not fixing my clients. I'm not giving them strategies. So basically, I'm not putting myself in a role like I'm expert and you are nobody, and just listen to me and everything is going to be fine. No, I'm not doing that. I'm taking client. Yeah, sorry.
That is the mentoring, right? Like you
yeah,
are
exactly,
higher.
Exactly. Yeah.
The coach is on the same level.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not fixing the client. So every single time the client comes to my office and I take a look at him, I see him completely okay. I see him completely healthy, emotionally, mentally, and but from time to time they can't see that they can't see that's right. So in my practice, I'm trying to wake them up to their true nature, that they haven't lost anything, that everything is inside them, but they can't see that in the moment. So I don't take a look at them as a person that they have got trouble. I take a look at them that the person they can't see that at the moment, but they they have a tendency, or they have a power to wake up anytime to their true nature, who they really are. I'm saying,
getting in touch with their deeper self.
Yeah, exactly. And for this, I'm not using strategies, techniques, and tools. I'm using understanding. So basically, one of my clients said to me, "So you are not giving me anything to apply. You are not giving me anything to train, or anything to when I come next time that we can check it." And I said, "No, I'm just having the discussion like this. I'm having right now with you, and I'm trying to show them how really we are working as human beings. That we are working from the inside out. That how we are perceiving life is not dependent on the circumstances, on the past, let's say." On the performance, or on the outside circumstances like coach or opponent. It's dependent on the thought. Okay, and in the personal development area, we are a lot of the times we are talking about thinking, and standard psychology, let's say, approaches, they are focused on changing the thinking. So if you change your thinking, then you can change your life, and that's pretty normal. So in my understanding, I'm not trying to change the thinking, the personal thinking. I'm explaining how it really works, okay? Because by changing the thinking, you are applying willpower. Because I cannot think this, in my practice, I am talking a lot about the original thought. So I'm talking not about the personal thinking, but how we are creating that. So it sounds a little bit spiritual, but I'm talking about the thought as a spiritual energy. I'm not talking about it as a personal thinking. So when the people understand this really true nature of thought, they could really wake up to that, and they see that it doesn't matter what they are thinking. It's really important that they think. They are thinkers, and it changes the game. You know, it's sometimes for me it looks like so simple, and I think, oh, that's simple that somebody should have told us this, at the elementary school, but unfortunately not. And this I'm giving the clients, and they are looking inside them, and they found the answers inside, and all the time, because we have the capacity for insight every single day. So I remember when I started working, I think that the insights are based on my effort. So if I try hard enough, the insight will come. But completely opposite, it works completely opposite. The less you try, the more tendency that the insight will come. Okay, and for example, for myself, the biggest insights I had when I was not trying, when I was not thinking about that stuff, and suddenly it came. And I remember that the first insight was like, the thought creates feelings. That our feelings are not caused by something outside. For example, by the performance, by the coach, by the opponent. It's based, it's dependent on the thought in the moment. So basically, said everything what we are thinking in a moment creates the feeling, and based on this feeling, we are perceiving reality. Okay, but you don't have to consciously change the thinking, because when you realize the original, nature of thought, we are not consciously choosing the thoughts. The thought comes to our head by coincidence, by its true nature. So we are not choosing that. Okay, so maybe for the listeners, that you can just make a small exercise now. We can be silent for about 10-15 seconds, and you can just listen deeply that your thoughts are coming and going, and you don't have to do anything with that, because it's a natural flow of thought. They just come and go.
That is a big challenge when it comes to meditation, right? Like
exactly.
So by thoughts, people want to let go of thoughts, but there is always this noise inside our head.
So the problem with meditation is that the people are using meditation as a kind of coping mechanism. That, for example, if they feel bad, that they would like to feel good, of course, and they try to use the meditation because somebody told them the meditation is a good tool to calm down the mind. But the problem is then when you are trying to use meditation for this purpose. But of course, I like meditation as well. I do not meditate so often, but I like it. If a client of mine likes it, of course, no problem. He can do it, no problem. But to using as a coping strategy, he's looking in the wrong direction. Okay. So yesterday, for example, I was working with one young tennis player, and his father told me, like, try to use him as sort of meditation techniques, or maybe some breathing techniques to release his mind and to be focused and so on. And to use it as a coping strategy doesn't make sense, because what it does is the understanding, as I had said. And then you understand really how the system works. For me, as a coach, it doesn't make sense to provide clients the techniques, because one of the things we have in common is that our mind is able to settle down by itself. So we don't have to do anything with that. And on the contrary, for example, when sometimes people feel bad, for example, at times in the past, I used to feel anxious. And even from time to time, I feel anxious, as is completely normal for every single person. And to whom I'm talking to, everybody said from time to time I'm anxious. But in our society, we think there's something wrong with us, and we have to cope with that because blah blah blah. And we use a lot of external strategies and techniques, and at least when we don't have when we are not using them, so we think that there is something wrong with them, and we have to fight it, and we are using willpower. And by using that, we are moving far away from our clear mind. And the clear mind is our natural state, Yeah. It's a completely natural state. You don't have to do anything with that to have the clear mind. So as soon as we think that we have to do something with that, we are putting more thoughts inside our, inside the system, inside our mind. And we are losing the track. We are looking in the wrong direction. But it's pretty normal. We are doing that innocently because we are taught to do so. You know,
Yeah.
since the child, we are taught to fight it. We are taught to fight the experience. You know, especially in sport. I remember when every single time I was struggling, you know, on the field or maybe also off the field, there was everybody saying to me, "You have to fight it. You have to, you know, the life is hard, but you are much tougher. You know, sort of like you are a macho, something like this. You know." And the more I tried, the worse I felt. Because innocently I was putting more thoughts inside, and I think that there is something wrong with me and I have to fix it. So that was the reason why I came to psychology. That was the reason why I came to personal development. And I was trying to use a lot of strategies, even what we have said, even meditation. And from time at times, you know, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I was thinking, okay, maybe it doesn't, I'm not doing that properly. Or maybe I'm not trying hard enough. You know, and then suddenly I realized, no, it's not about that. I don't have to do this. And it was the insight that came to me right about 3 years ago. And it was quite funny. It's about 3 years ago, and suddenly I had a client at the time, and it was like from one day to another, I completely changed the way I worked. And he came to my office and he said, okay, I was trying to use this sort of technique. I think it was at the time, it was visualization. And he was, you know, imagining himself performing well and so on. And I said to him, that's a good tool, but you don't have to do this. And he said, what? He said, no, because there is something more, you know, behind. Something more that is what is happening behind the scenes. And when we understand this, so there is, you can do this from time to time. I do it as well, but I am not like dependent on the technique. Okay, I have to use this in order to have this. No, I know I can use it because I have a good feeling about that, but I don't have to do this.
Right.
Okay. So I'm not saying that my clients don't do this because they have, if I'm telling the clients you have to do this or this or this, that I'm killing their instincts and their common sense. Everybody of us has good common sense. If I'm giving them like, you have to do this, you have to apply this, you have to check this, you have to fix this, then I'm killing this common sense and they are not finding the answers inside. So I just point them to the true nature, how the system works, and they are able to find the answers by themselves.
Well,
so it's a little bit different.
Thank you for the speech. You mentioned a lot of things that I could really go deeper into.
Yeah.
And well, really, there are many thoughts that were coming to my. Yeah, there were many thoughts as you were speaking. So basically, to wrap it up, like I understand, one of the things that you mentioned was basically that when we try to fight some things, and we want to maybe remove them, improve them, or change them in some way, there will be a resistance that basically we create. And the harder we try to fight it, the harder it fights back. And that is why also when we see, for example, some people, they want to, I don't know, stop smoking, for example, if they focus on removing that from their life, they find it very hard. But that is why also substituting smoking with chewing gum works better.
Exactly, yeah. To apply one strategy instead of the other. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is a good point that you open it. And sometimes what it happens within my coaching is that the client comes, that he thinks that, okay, we would like to focus on this. And he's not telling me about, for example, his addictions. And suddenly he came to my office, I don't know, maybe after 4 or 5 sessions, he said to me, I stopped smoking, or I stopped using, I don't know, any other substance. Like, for example, many hockey players are using tobacco. And they said to me, I stopped it. I really don't know why, but I stopped it. Because why we are addicted to something? People are addicted to something because they feel bad and they would like to release this pain, or they would like to have the relief, and they are searching for something outside. So in personal development world, we are using strategies, techniques, and tools. In normal life, okay, people are using substances, alcohol, tobacco, drugs. Okay, so in sports, for example, I'm many times my clients they said to me, okay, I'm addicted to gambling. Okay, they gamble, or maybe they are changing their sexual partners every single week. Okay, they are looking for new adrenaline thing, you know, and stuff like this. So what I'm saying to them is not directly that we are talking about this problem, because if you are talking about this problem, they are thinking about it, and every single thought creates the feeling, so they feel bad about it, you know. So I'm not focusing on the problem itself, we are talking generally about the principles behind the human experience. And I'm not talking, as soon as the person sees it on a deeper level, for them it doesn't make sense to change the experience when they feel bad, to substitute it by to do something, to change the state of mind, because the state of mind, it changes naturally. It's completely normal. For example, a small child, I've got two daughters. So one of them is 5 and the second one is 2. And both of them are the best teachers for me in this understanding. So for example, 1 minute, let's say the 5-year-old, one moment, she's completely feeling perfect. She's completely great, enjoying the life, having fun. And suddenly she starts crying, and she's completely meltdown. She's, she's completely nervous.
On the opposite side.
Yeah, of course. And then she doesn't do anything about that, and it just flows, and could be a question of 2 minutes, and she's completely okay.
Yeah.
Even sometimes I'm checking that, and I said, why did you do that? And of course, I'm not doing that on purpose. And she says to me, like, I don't remember. I don't know why. Forget it. And she's, because they don't have the analytical thinking, in place. And analytical thinking is a great tool, but it's not the best one when you use it as a coping strategy. Mm-hmm. Because the people, sometimes they feel bad, and we think that if we are thinking more about it and find a reason outside to fix it, so then we feel again good, but we don't have to do this. So coming back to the analogy of addictions. So when people, they feel bad, they are searching for the relief, and for example, they start to smoke, and they think that, okay, if they smoke, then the stress or whatsoever is a little bit released. So they are searching for that every single time they feel bad. But if they realize on a deeper level that they don't have to do this, they get rid of the addictions. And again, we are talking about 2 types how to get rid of the addiction. One of them is by using strategies, techniques, and substitutions. So if somebody is, for example, drinking all life and he wants to stop, and he substitutes it by smoking, maybe by eating, overeating, and so on. But when you take a look at on a deeper level, you see that the people are doing it only because they feel bad. So from my perspective, I would put it in one bucket. I would put it addictions like alcohol addiction, tobacco addiction, overeating, cutting, for example,
gambling,
changing sexual partners. I would put it in.
I would say all the addictions, no?
Exactly. Yeah, all the addictions. They are just the symptoms of the low mood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we want to escape something, so
exactly.
we put our focus on something different.
So we have a tendency to cure it or to solve this by understanding. That's one of the things, and that's what I'm applying in my practice. So the person suddenly had insights, and he said, "Oh my God, it doesn't make sense for me to continue in this way," and he's just stopped. He just don't need therapy, doesn't need tablets to get rid of that, or so on. He just stopped that, or he can use the standard approach by using willpower, by giving him another substances, but maybe less harmful, and by trying hard enough, maybe he can stay away from this, let's say, drugs or alcohol and so on. But from the longer perspective, it doesn't last.
Exactly. This is like attainable, like chewing tobacco or whatever addiction is an attainable way. It's very easy to get into that state, change your state, or push something down or get something. But it's not sustainable from the long-term perspective.
Exactly. So that's one of the reasons why willpower doesn't last, for a long time. So it could help you temporary, but for the long period, doesn't. That's the same with, for example, outside motivation. Somebody's, let's say, for example, somebody is calling me like, "Let's Michael, we have heard that you are doing this. Could you please give a speech and to motivate our players?" And I said, "Okay, what do you imagine by word motivate?" Okay, so motivation is always inside, I just point them to the right direction again, that the motivation must be inside of them. You cannot externally motivate people. Like, for example, when you watch some YouTube videos and how the coach is motivating the guys and they are completely, wow, it could be a temporary thing, for example, before match motivation. It could help somehow, but I remember at times when I was playing and somebody was giving a motivational speech, at times I really felt dismotivated even, yeah, because I said, oh my God, this is working for the other people.
Okay.
And and you go to the match and you feel awful, and somebody is telling you have to believe in yourself, you have to be confident, but when you feel awful, you can't see that.
Yeah, and everybody around you is confident and motivated, and you are not. So you start thinking that there is something wrong with you.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes when you check the, for example, with the clients, when I'm checking it, of course, and when we are discussing this, and at times everybody feels dismotivated, even though the external circumstances seems to be motivated. For example, if team is in a flow, they are winning every single match. It doesn't mean that every single one of the players, let's say in a football team, is completely motivated. Is completely confident. Because in the world of self-development, we think that confidence is related to the performance. Confidence is related to outside things, such as qualities, such as fame, or maybe the past experience, and so on. But it doesn't work that way. For example, if everybody who is rich, famous, and successful, it gives us the idea that okay, everybody should be confident. But I'm meeting the guys that are really pretty famous, really confident, really rich, and they said to me, it doesn't work today. Sometimes I feel insecure, sometimes I feel bad. It doesn't mean that I'm confident all the time. That sometimes what in a field of personal development, they are selling that it's possible to be confident all the time, but it's not true. Okay, but it doesn't, it's not a problem actually. It's not a problem, because when you see what is really behind, you don't have to fight the experience. And it's, as I use the example of a small child, it changes by itself. The less you try to interfere with this, the more time you spend, in the feeling of confidence, in the feeling of freedom. You are more secure, you are more, let's say, relaxed. And based on this, you are able to perform well. But, what I'm saying to clients, that you don't have to feel specific feelings before the performance in order to play well, or in order to perform well. Because your feelings are not telling anything about you. And that's the most important factor in my practice, that I'm not telling them that they have to feel some way in order to perform well, because all the feelings we have are, a part of human experience. And right. That's exactly what we experience from childhood to our death, until we die, So there is no necessity to interfere with the system. The system works perfectly, but with our personal thinking, we interfere with the system more and more and more. And that's what is, taking us away from the clear mind. And when you are in a clear mind, you are enjoying the life. You are not thinking about anything. Don't have the necessity to apply techniques or strategies. You just play, you just perform, you just enjoy the life. As soon as we feel bad, we think that there is something wrong and we need to fix it by something external. And we are fighting the system. We don't have the power to fight it, because it's it's much powerful than us.
I love that. Totally, like
some people call it that we live in a flow. When you are living in a flow, it doesn't mean that you don't have bad feelings. It means that you are not fighting them. You just enjoy what is.
You are like a water.
Exactly.
It's the flow, right?
You don't fight it. You don't have the power to fight it. So, for example, in the past, I remember that I was using external strategy, and I think that then suddenly I felt better. And I said, oh my God, there's a great strategy. I have to keep it. I have to do it on a regular basis because it brings me good feelings. But what was happening behind the scenes was that the natural flow of thought is that it comes and goes. And by its nature, it's flowing. It's constant. It changes all the time. So also my experience of life changes. So sometimes, for example, I take a look at one situation and I see there's a problem. And the second time, maybe after a few minutes, doesn't have to be a long time, take a look at the same situation. I said, it's not so good. I can handle it. And it happens to everybody. I try to use the example that I ask my clients, like, you struggled with something, let's say a month ago, and now you take a look at the situation, you can't even remember what it was.
Yeah.
But so that in quotation, the problem is that people don't understand where the feelings are coming from. They think that the feelings are coming from something outside. Right. For example, the coach did this to me. So, okay, I feel bad. My performance was not so good last time. So that was the reason why I feel awful now. because if I was playing well, then I would be confident, I will be satisfied, and blah, blah, blah. I'm using the example, for example, in the field of football, soccer. I'm using the example of Messi. And at times, he really acknowledged that he feels completely nervous before the matches. Okay, and said to me, okay, he feels completely nervous. He even vomits before the match, which is quite strange. And when you are thinking about that, you just imagine, okay, so he has got the skills. He is one of the best football players at all the times. So he's famous, he's rich, so he should be all the time confident, And then you suddenly realize, no, it doesn't work that way. I remember lately when I was meeting one of my clients that I was working in the past. He's a very famous hockey player. And he said to me, like, I would be happy that every single person would have the same money as me. And then they realize that the happiness doesn't come from money.
Right.
So he said that I used to do an example with my clients that I'm asking them, for example, yesterday I had a basketball player. He's a very good one, very talented. He's a national player. And I said to him, would you like to imagine yourself playing in NBA? He said, of course. And I said to him, would like to have would like to really feel the feelings you will have when you are playing in NBA? He said, of course. And I said to him, okay, close your eyes. And first of all, focus on the feelings you have right now. And he closed his eyes. He was focusing on the feelings. He was, enjoying that. And I said, okay, you can open your eyes. And the same things you have now, you have also when you are in NBA. Nothing changes. It's just the illusion that we think that something changes.
There is an illusion.
Sorry.
Sorry. There is this illusion, or they think that they will get something more from it.
It's a great illusion. People think that their feelings are coming from something outside. For example, from fame, from the performance, from the coach, from financial situation. Okay, for example, I have a client and he's saying, okay, if I sign better contract, then I would be more secure. And he signs better contract. And he came to my office after a month, and he said to me, nothing changes, still the same feelings. Okay, I just have more money, but that's it. Some people think, okay, so if I am satisfied with the situation I have right now, so then I'm not, I'm not motivated. Yeah, they think, because they are thinking out of the ego, and the ego is saying that you have to fight hard in order to get something, but it doesn't have to be that way. Okay. So you don't have to feel stressed. You don't have to be pushed to play well or to perform well. A good performance is just happening. Okay. So you don't have to fight your experience. When you live in your experience, when you accept all the ranges of your feelings, or the scales of your feelings, you are living your life at full.
Yeah. So I appreciate this, and I would also say, like, we should also define, like, what does it mean, what is a good performance, because I think many times this can be also the core or root of the problem, because like you said,
exactly,
if this is something external, like I see a good performance as I need to score 3 goals in one match.
Yes.
I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself.
Of course.
And I will vomit before the match.
Could be the case of Messi, as you mentioned, yeah. Of course, a good question anyway. So good for me, for example, good performance is pretty individual. Some clients could think that if they score 1 goal, it's pretty good performance. Some think that if they play well, don't do any mistakes, it's really good performance. And somebody scores 2-3 goals and he's not satisfied with the performance. So it's pretty individual, because we see life on an individual basis. For example, what seems to be true for me doesn't have to be true for you. So again, what I'm pointing my clients is to the universal truth. And when we are talking about the performance, I said to him, and it's pretty, I think, natural for sports psychologists even, to say them, you don't have expectations, just play. Okay, so I think that the good performance is not defined by the feeling, because sometimes I could play well and I don't have a good feeling afterwards. Sometimes it happens to me that, for example, the client, he's calling me after the match, for example, let's say football player, and they lost the match 5-1, and he said, but I feel quite okay, I don't feel like frustrated. I feel quite okay. What's wrong with me? I should be feeling bad. And I said to him, your feelings are not connected to the outside circumstance. Your feelings are not connecting to the loss of your team. And on the contrary, for example, as the other guy calls me and he said to me, "We won, and I was playing quite okay, but I don't feel good." It happens to me a lot of times. For example, when there is a successful client, let's say a hockey player, they won the league. I used to have a lot of guys like this. And won the league, and he was calling me, let's say 2 days afterwards, and he said to me, "I feel awful." I said, "Why?" Because I think that if I win the league, I would be more happy. I would be more satisfied. You know, I call it my practice that they are setting up those toxic goals. Okay, if I reach this, then I would have started feeling. If I buy this, then I would be more confident. If I score, if I sign a new contract, I will be blah, 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 you know? So they are thinking that their feelings are connected to something outside, okay? Right. But our feelings are solely connected to thought in a moment. And the thought changes independently on the outside circumstances. So I could be in one situation, the situation could be like negative, or it seems to be negative at times, one moment, and I take a look at the same situation in 1 week and I said, no big deal, I can handle it, no problem. Or even I forgot it. So this week I had a nice discussion with one of my clients, a long client and hockey player. He's playing in the Czech league. And he was calling me on Monday, completely frustrated, you know, and said to me, "Oh my God, I haven't signed a contract. The coach is, you know, dealing me with me like an idiot, and they don't deserve me to be in a team." And so his mind was completely full of thoughts, full of personal thinking, blaming others for his feelings, blaming the circumstances for his feelings.
Pretty bad.
And that was, yeah, of course, I was not trying to teach him, you can't see, but I just said to me, "It's going to be fine. Don't worry, man. So we'll get in touch. Just relax, don't do it. Don't think about that." Of course, it's easy to say. And then we called each other on Wednesday, so 2 days later. And I was calling him like, "What's new, bro? How are you? What's new?" And he said to me, "Oh, quite okay. Everything is fine. I haven't signed a contract, but I'm okay with that because I know that I will sign it because I'm playing well, you know. Sooner or later, I will sign the contract. Not if not in this team, I will sign it in another team. I know that's, you know, I've got a good career and I'm playing well this season. I've got a lot of points. So I know it's a question of time." You see? So one day he was completely frustrated. He was about to finish his hockey career. And then 2 days later, he's taking a look at the same situation and completely different state of mind. And he sees completely different. So what I'm saying is that the outside circumstances, they don't define our feelings. Okay? Our feelings are created by thought. And based on these feelings, they are perceiving the reality. We are perceiving the life.
Yeah, it's like a filter.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying that one of my mentors, his name is Michael Neal. He used to say that our mind is not the camera. You know, our mind is a projector. So it means that every single, let's say, circumstance, we take a look at from a different perspective based on the state of mind in the moment. Okay, so for example, one moment I take a look at myself or even my practice, my coaching, my clients, and when my head is clear, I take a look at those factors and I say, "Wow, it's great! I'm doing great job, and my clients are performing well. They are satisfied, and I'm completely wow, great feelings, you know." And within 1 day, the state of mind changes, and in the evening I could think something completely different. You know, I could take a look at myself and say, "Oh my God, doesn't seem that way. Maybe I could change something. Are they so satisfied? Should I change my approach?" And blah, blah, blah. And that's pretty normal, I think. So it's pretty normal for people that they have different state of minds, even within day. Not even within day. Sometimes the client said that they have different states of minds within the performance, within the match. Okay? So yeah, for example, that's the best thing about this understanding, that the guy goes to the match, he feels completely nervous, he feels insecure, and he goes to the match and he's performing well. So it means that his state of mind doesn't have the connection to his performance. It does when the person thinks that the feeling bad is something wrong, and then he needs to fix it, that it has got a negative impact on his performance. But when you understand really on a deeper level what is really behind that you are feeling on your thinking in a moment, and it doesn't say anything about your performance, about you, about the future, and so on. So you can play well. Okay, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to fix it. You don't have to change it. It changes by itself because it's pretty normal. It's a natural, you know, it's a nature of thought that changes all the time. So you don't have to interfere with the system. And when you understand this on a deeper level, when they see it, you know, it changes their perspective on their performance. It changes the perspective on their feelings. So they are not coping with them. They are not fighting them. They just enjoy what is.
Definitely, it's like now it brings memories back from the interview that I did with also Michal Barton, Zuzana Kosumova, and I mean, there is a clear pattern with people who are successful not only in sports but I mean anywhere. We are back at the state of flow. They learn how to accept whatever comes at them, and what really stuck with me on the part when I was doing interview with Michal Barton, and she is like ultra runner. I don't know if you know her.
Yeah.
And she said, like reflecting back on her races, like it's okay to fail.
Of course.
And when she said it, it was not only like saying it is okay to fail, but she really owns it. She understands it. She accepts it. You know.
I fail every single day.
She lives by
it. That's life, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty normal to fail. That you don't have like expectations. When I do 10 projects, I have to have 10 projects successful. For example, right now, or within these days, or within the last weeks and months, I'm involved in one project, and it's called Creating the Impossible, and it's led by Michael Neal. So this program is it's pretty nice because you should define a project. Then you think impossible project. So you think that only 20% you are able to achieve this, and 80% you think that you are not able to achieve it. Okay, so it's pretty normal that within this project, maybe some people, or maybe myself, or I could fail, you know. But it's okay. It's okay because
why would you even try?
Yeah, some people think that we can only do what we can imagine. Okay, so if I would be thinking that I could only do what I can imagine, that I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. Because when somebody told me, let's say 2 years ago, even, and said, okay, you will write 2 books, you will be working with the best football team in Slovakia. You will be working for the National Football Association in Slovakia. You will be working with NHL players, with the guys from KHL. We will be working with the guys outside of Slovakia. I will be thinking that no, I would like to concentrate on something, or maybe on the youth, maybe on blah, blah, blah. Because it was not included within my imagination.
Yeah.
Okay? But it just came naturally. So I think that people are pretty limited by that, what they can see. Or they think that, okay, so I'm able to reach this, but I'm not able to reach this. But we forget that there is something much bigger behind us. So again, in the question of willpower, we try to fight everything by willpower, by our abilities, but we forget that we are a part of something bigger. You know, I call it myself like we are a part of sort of universal energy. Okay, and that's the reason why we are able to sometime, or at least some people from time to time, achieve something extraordinary that even couldn't imagine that it's possible. Right. And you are reaching that not by your willpower, by only focusing on yourself. You are just living, as I said also many times within this conversation, you are living in the flow. And when you are living in the flow, you don't fight the experience. You are able to achieve the things which are further away from only your limited imagination. Yeah.
Which I think also brings me into one of the questions that I wanted to ask, like longevity within the sports. Like some people, you know, maybe they do some sports for several years and then suddenly, you know, like they lose all the motivation. So yeah, I think this is because they have some expectations that they should perform or how they should perform. Suddenly they are not living for whatever reason up to their expectations. Maybe it's like you said, like this natural curve that they have a downtime right now, and it's hard for them to accept. Or how do you see that? Or how would you advise a person who wants to, you know, like continue in that sport, but they seem to lose all the motivation and stop enjoying it?
Right. So it's a great question, Daniel. So I've been, meeting a lot of clients with the same issue. Okay, and they think that they lost the motivation. But again, motivation, as every single feeling, is created from thinking, so from thought in a moment, and it could change. But we are prolonging those feelings by personal thinking. So if the person thinks that he is not motivated, okay. For example, I used to work with a lot of successful guys, and they reach a lot of goals. They reach a lot of success. They are pretty successful, let's say. Yeah? And sometimes they think that, okay, I achieved everything in my sport. I'm not motivated at all. You know, I need some external motivation because I'm stuck. Maybe I'm thinking about finishing my career and so on. And I've been dealing with, let's say, every single month at least, a client of mine, he comes and he said to me, I lost motivation. Later, I remember that I had a short discussion with one of the most successful Thai boxers in Slovakia, and is a female Thai boxer, and she's numerous world champion in different organizations. And she said to me, that was the goal. She said to me, she was reaching me because she wanted to get more motivation. She said, I have completed everything. I lost the motivation. I'm not willing to fight anymore. Okay, find some motivation. Okay. So, and it was a question of, I would say, half an hour. And she sees something on a deeper level. She sees that she is still motivated. She likes the job. She likes, the job. She likes fighting. She likes Thai box. She sees that she was just prolonging this bad mood by personal thinking, because she was, connecting her feelings with something outside. She thought that her feelings are connected to external circumstances, the past. Okay, I've reached everything about the future. So she thought that the feelings are telling something about her future. Okay, so when we think that our feelings are connected to our future, then we have a lot of troubles. Okay.
Yeah.
So the feelings are only telling us about the thought in the moment, and the thought in the moment changes all the time. So you could have within one day, you could be fully motivated, and until the end of the day, you completely lost the motivation. You think that lost it, but you haven't lost it because it's still inside of you. Motivation is connected to the clear mind. When our mind is clear, we are fully involved in life, and we are completely motivated. You don't have to search for the outside motivation, because motivation is something what we have inside. Okay, so for example, using the example of Thai boxer, what she sees was that the motivation was still there, but she, from time to time, she couldn't see that because of her personal thoughts. So simply said, if there are no personal thoughts in the system, we are fully motivated, we are confident, we are, free, we are, let's say, enjoying the life. But of course, we are thinking. So we are thinking creatures. Okay, so it means that we are thinking from the moment we are born until the moment we die. So it means that we are thinking, and sometimes we think, thoughts that we think, okay, we are not motivated. Okay, so for example, within one day, I could have an experience that I have the best job in my life, and within the same day, I could think I'm considering if I could change it. But when you understand on a deeper level what you are doing, or how you are doing that, I mean, how the system works, it doesn't make sense for you to interfere when you are feeling bad. Simply said, when you are feeling, insecure, when you are feeling, basically said bad, we have a tendency to fight this. But as soon as I know how it works, I just let it be, and the mind clears by itself, because it's through nature to be clear. And as soon as I see it from a mind that is clear, that is not contaminated by our personal thinking, I see the same circumstance from a completely different perspective, So something what seems to be for me that's completely real, and I lost the motivation, I don't have it. Then suddenly I see it from a different perspective, and I say, oh my God, it's completely different. I'm still motivated. I like my job. I like my work. I like my sport. Okay, so it's about understanding. It's not about doing. Yeah. So as soon as we think that we can fight this, then we are looking in the wrong direction. But the problem is that people think that their feelings are connected to something outside, and they are searching for that outside thing to change it, because they think that if they change it, then the state of mind changes, and the completely opposite is true.
Yeah, so as you said, I believe that basically the answer is in accepting whatever state you are currently in.
Even I said when you are accepting this sort of effort. So I think that not even accepting, but understanding what is happening. Okay, because every single thought we have, it looks real. It looks like, not like thought. Nobody is saying to me that if he comes to my office, he's feeling bad. He said to me, okay, I'm feeling thought in a moment, and I know it changes, so I don't have to do anything with that. No, he came to my office and said to me, I feel bad because blah, blah, blah. You find hundreds of reasons outside. And I'm not even saying accepting the feeling. I'm just saying understanding. So when you understand what is happening, so we are able to have the wide variety of thoughts and so feelings, because every single thought creates the feelings. But we are fine with that. For example, I'm presenting a lot. Let's say at least one speech a week, and I go, I'm providing the speech, and I feel sometimes nervous. I feel sometimes, oh my, I'm not ready. Or I'm going to tell them, do they like it or not? And I'm thinking about it. Personal thinking, it's pretty normal. And in the past, I would be fighting this. If this happens in the past, I was fighting that by, for example, briefing technique, or I try to imagine myself how successful I am, or I would be doing some sort of technique from NLP, like to be confident, but it wasn't working that well, and especially when I needed it most, it didn't work. And even so, it ended up that my head was more and more full of thoughts. So I felt much, I felt worse, basically said. But these days, since I have this understanding, is that when I feel nervous, I don't say to myself like, oh my God, you are nervous, and they see that you are a mental coach, you should be confident, blah, blah, blah. No, just as you said, I accept it, but even I'm not accepting, I understand what is behind. So I know that my feelings...
How I mean it is like more accepting it on it's not an effort, because it's on a subconscious level,
Yeah.
Like you said, you understand it, and that is why you accept it, basically.
Yeah, right. Good formulation. So I just understand what is happening behind. I know that I have got some stressful thinking. That's the reason why I have stressful feeling, and I just stay in the game. I just, I go to the presentation, and as soon as, I started thinking, I don't feel nervous at all. And it could be a question of 1 minute. And there's one of the findings, and also from my clients. They said to me, oh, this was quite strange. I was in a warm-up, I was feeling awful, I was feeling not ready for the game. And as soon as we started to play, I realized, oh my God, I haven't lost my abilities. I haven't, that the things are not telling anything about my performance. And it changes by itself, it changes like this. Could be a question of one shift, could be a question of 1 minute, I am completely in the game. And that's not something I just, make it up right now. It is happening to me from every single client, almost from every single client that has a tendency to look in the right direction, that we are creating the world from the inside out, not the outside in.
Yeah, so I think what is important for people to understand is that our emotions change, and they can change very quickly from minute to minute, like you said.
Great formulation then. Great. Yeah. So the thinking changes, so our feelings changes. So the less you try to interfere with the system, because the system works perfectly. You don't have to fight it. Okay. So yeah, you formulate it perfectly.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know, how much time do you have?
So... I've got the client now in 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes.
Okay, I appreciate your time. So let's just cover maybe 1-2 more things.
Yeah.
One of the things we covered was basically how to stay motivated, or how to understand motivation, these things. And how about people who are overcoming, this can be a very similar question when it comes to injuries, like you have been doing some sport, suddenly you have an injury, like in your case, that prevented your world changes. Suddenly you are not doing what you were used to do, right? It's like completely changing your day. So how to cope with that, or cope?
Yeah.
How to?
Yeah, it's a good question. And as I have said, so I've been meeting a lot of clients and working. As I have said, I've been working with the teams, and it's pretty normal that from time to time, every single professional player or athlete is injured from time to time. It's pretty normal. And this understanding, what I'm applying in, or not applying, what I'm giving or pointing the clients to, has got the, I would say, positive impact also in terms of when the athlete is injured, because they don't define they don't define themselves, human beings, as somebody that is performing well or not performing at all, and so on. So I think that they are able to handle it much better when they are injured, because they are not defining their feelings to the performance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I have to play well in order to be a good person. Okay, if I'm not performing well, then I'm a bad person. If I'm injured, I am useless, and so on. So if they understand what is really happening behind the scenes, I used to say, so if they understand really where the feelings are coming from, they are even okay, even though the circumstance doesn't look okay. For example, in case they are injured. Okay, and by this understanding, there is a higher tendency that they return to the game much quicker, because they are not prolonging the bad feelings by their personal thinking, but this misunderstanding where the feelings are coming from. Okay, so for example, if the client is injured and the doctor said to me, okay, you can play, let's say, within 4 or 5 months. So he could be, those 4 or 5 months, he could be thinking about his future from a negative point of view. What if, what ifs? What if I don't return in a good condition? What if I don't play? What blah, blah, blah. Okay, what if I lose my contract? What if blah, blah, blah. But when the athlete understands where the feelings are coming from, that they are not related to the outside circumstance, for example, in this case, injury. So he's able to overcome this difficult period of time with, let's say, with more freedom, or with more ease. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. So he's able to be okay, even though the situation doesn't seem to be okay. Okay,
Right.
Because he understands that, okay, so even though I'm not playing, even though I'm not injured, my feelings or my humanness is not dependent if I perform or not. And he is doing, when we are on the professional level, and he's doing everything in order to be back on the field as soon as possible. So it's much better, or he's in a much better place when his mind is more time in a relaxed mode, when he's not giving his contaminated thinking, when he's not thinking what ifs and so on. So he's able to overcome this much better. And that's also my experience with the clients. Of course, every single player or every single athlete would like to perform as soon as possible, and so on. And sometimes they see this catastrophe when they are injured. And I remember that was also the case for myself when I injured, when my back was in a really bad condition. I was trying to overcome this. I was, of course, innocently thinking about it in a negative way. And I'm pretty sure, and I'm completely convinced that that was one of the causes that that has led to finishing my career. So if I knew that at times that how I'm creating my reality, that I wouldn't be thinking that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So once more, Michal, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you as well, Dan.
Let's appreciate it. Let's give you some time so you can also prepare for your client.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, one last thing, like how can people reach you?
Yeah, so for the Slovak guys, so they can reach me on my webpage, which is www.mkcoaching, like MK.
By the way, it will be
okay, mkcoaching.sk. Or for the foreign clients, I've been working also with the guys outside Slovakia. So I've got the pretty simple webpage, which is yourmentortrainer.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you as well. So thanks very much.
This was very inspiring conversations.
Yeah,
I believe we could continue speaking for another 2 hours, and
of course. So we are in a flow, I think.
yeah, that's the flow. Actually, yeah,
so I was really enjoying it. Yeah, thank you.
That's perfect. Better than explaining it, showing it.
Thank you very much for your questions, which were pretty great, and not pretty, but they were great. So maybe see you next time and talk to you next time. Yeah.
Yeah, probably in person.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Dan. So take
Thank
care
you very
and keep doing the job. Thank you.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode and see you next time. If you liked it, please share, subscribe, and you will find all the important links in the show notes or below video however you got to this. So there will be also a page to subscribe, my Facebook page, my website, and if you are looking for a coach or coaching experience, you are looking to boost your performance, whether it's mental or physical, to the next level, then go to my website that is linked down below and contact me through there.